All right, so picture this. You're on the track, right? Pushing your street legal car to the absolute limit,
Yeah.
but you're not going up against like these pro racers,
Yeah.
it's other really passionate drivers just like you. And that is the Super Lap series.
Absolutely.
And this deep dive is going to be your inside track to the 2024 season.
Yeah.
Especially if you're already in the series or thinking of joining us next year in 2025.
I think it's going to be a really interesting one to watch.
Oh, for sure. We're going to unpack the season's highlights,
Yeah.
the top drivers, the cars that made a splash,
Yeah.
and even get a glimpse into what's coming next.
The future's bright.
Yeah. So what do you think, what makes the Super Lap series so special?
Well, for me, I think the Super Lap series really captures this like perfect blend of serious competition, but it's still very approachable and fun, you know? These are drivers with a ton of track experience,
Right.
but they're not like rolling in with these $1 million race cars.
Yeah.
They're taking their modified street cars,
Yeah.
the ones they actually drive to work every day.
Yeah, like they're daily drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're pushing them to the limit.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
Absolutely.
Like to watch, it's just so cool to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching, though, the 2024 season saw like this massive surge in participation.
Huge.
They kicked off in March with 14 drivers.
Wow.
And by November, the grid had more than doubled to 32 competitors.
That's amazing.
And they even had to split the classes at the last event
Yeah.
just to fit everyone on the track.
I mean, that kind of growth is a testament to what the SLS is offering, you know?
Right.
It's clearly striking a chord with these drivers who are hungry for that competition,
Yeah.
but still in that environment that's welcoming and, dare I say it, fun.
Yeah, it's not like cutthroat.
No.
Everyone's there to have a good time.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive into the heart of the action here. The drivers and their cars.
Let's do it.
Starting with the SL1 class, we saw some serious Porsche power taking the top spots.
It was almost a clean sweep for Porsche and SL1. You know, David Marr took the championship in his 993 Turbo.
Nice.
That car's becoming a bit of a legend in the series.
Really?
Right on his tail were Leo Duarte and Justin Orr, both in Porsche GT4s.
Wow.
And then to really drive home the point, Steven Sousa rounded out the top four, and you guessed it, another Porsche this time, a GT3 RS.
Wow, they were really...
It was the Porsche show.
It was the Porsche show.
You can't ignore that kind of dominance, you know, especially the 993 Turbo.
Yeah.
It seems to have found its sweet spot in SL1.
Now, moving down to SL2, there's a little bit of a different story. We saw some Porsches in the mix, like Mike Moore with his Cayman GTS.
Yeah.
But this class was all about BMW.
Yeah, Carlos Espitia absolutely dominated in his E92 M3. Following him was David Schnorr, also in an M3, but a newer F80 generation.
Okay.
And then Razmi Ak putting in a strong performance with his M2.
Interesting to see how those two, brands are known for performance.
Yeah.
Porsche and BMW.
Yep.
But they each kind of excel in different classes within the SLS.
For sure.
It's almost like they each attract a certain type of driver or driving style.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. And it's not even just about the brand, right?
Yeah.
You could see that even within the BMW camp, there was variety E92s, F80s, even an M2.
Wow.
It just goes to show you the depth of options even within a single brand.
So car choice matters.
It does.
But it's not the whole story.
It's never the whole story.
Let's move on to SL3, where things get even more interesting.
All right, I'm ready.
This is where we start to see that wider spread of car, makes and models battling it out for those top spots.
Right.
The top two positions went to a pair of BMW E92 M3s, driven by Trevor Pwanadin and Rohan Ramgopal.
Right.
But right there, with them breaking up that BMW party, was Jason Hua in his Toyota Supra.
Nice.
And then Tony Fuccini rounded out the top four in his Mazda Miata, which was a real crowd pleaser.
Oh, yeah. Seeing a Miata up there competing with the M3s, I mean, that's what I love about the SLS.
Yeah.
It proves that it's not just about raw horsepower, you know? It's about driver skill and finding the right setup for your car.
Yeah, finding what works for you and your car.
Absolutely.
All right, and finally we come to SL4, where the competition was just fierce and some unexpected contenders made their mark. J. Carlo Guzman took the top spot in his BMW E90 328, followed closely by Blake Shee piloting a Hyundai Elantra N.
Oh, that Elantra N really turned heads this year.
I bet.
You don't see them on track very often, you know?
Right.
But Blake showed that it can be a really competitive machine. And remember, this is a car that you see on the streets every single day.
Yeah.
You know?
Adds a whole new level of excitement to the series when you see these less common cars mixing it up with those, established track favorites.
Yeah.
Rounding out the SL4 top four were Jonathan Jimenez in his Scion FRS and Thierry Rittfeld in a classic BMW E36 M3.
Oh, yeah. Another great example of the variety that we see in SL4. The FRS has a dedicated following, and Thierry's E36M3 is a testament to the enduring appeal of these older BMWs.
So we've seen Porsches battling it out in SL1 BMWs, dominating SL2, a mix of everything in SL3 and some real underdogs shaking things up in SL4.
I love it.
It's clear that the SLS is about more than just, brand prestige.
That's not about the badge.
It's about finding the right car for you,
Absolutely.
dialing in that setup, and then putting your skills to the test.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
But there's one more detail that we need to address.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with the future of the series, the Delta Cup.
Oh, yes! The Delta Cup. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, this is going to add a whole new layer of strategy and excitement
can't wait.
to the SLS starting in 2025.
Yeah.
It's not just about being the fastest anymore.
No.
It's about being consistently fast.
You got it.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing how drivers adapt to this new challenge.
Me too. It's going to require a shift in mindset, for sure. A focus on precision and control.
Right.
And maybe even some adjustments to car setups.
And that's where things get really interesting. But before we dive into the Delta Cup and what it means for drivers, let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll analyze the 2024 season from a strategic perspective.
Awesome.
And see what lessons we can draw for the year ahead.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Super Lap Series. We just took a close look at the 2024 season, the standout drivers, and those cars that really caught our attention. Now let's kind of shift gears and see what we can learn from all of this.
So we've got a room full of SLS veterans here, right? And we've got some eager drivers thinking about joining the action in 2025.
For sure.
So what are the key takeaways from this past season? What should people be thinking about as they prep for the next one?
Yeah, well, for the veterans, I think the 2024 results are a little bit of a wake-up call.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we saw some pretty clear trends emerge, like the dominance of Porsche and SL1
Right.
and BMW and SL2.
Mm-hmm.
And it raises the question, are you driving the right car for your class?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get attached to a particular car. But if you're serious about competing at the top of your class, you need to be honest with yourself about whether your current car has what it takes.
100%. And this is where the Delta Cup comes in and adds a whole new dimension.
Mhm.
It's not just about raw speed anymore. Consistency is going to be key.
So if you're in a car that's like right on the edge of its capabilities for a particular class,
Yeah.
you might be fast.
You might be fast.
But can you maintain that consistency?
Right. Can you do it lap after lap after lap?
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question.
You said it.
Drivers might have to make some tough choices about whether their car can really deliver both speed and consistency,
Yeah,
especially with that added pressure of the Delta Cup.
for sure.
Now, what about those drivers who are thinking about joining the SLS in 2025?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Well, first and foremost, do your homework.
Okay.
Head over to the FARA website. We'll put a link in the show notes. Familiarize yourself with the different classes. Use the class calculator and figure out where your current car fits in.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're thinking of buying something new, factor that into your decision.
Knowing your battleground
Exactly.
before you even hit the track.
Absolutely.
Crucial.
Yep, and then take a look at the cars that dominated each class this past season.
Okay.
You don't have to copy them exactly, but it gives you a sense of what works.
It's like scouting the competition,
Yeah.
but instead of studying their driving techniques,
Yeah.
you're analyzing their machinery.
Their weapon of choice. You got it. And don't forget to be honest about your own driving style.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
all about pushing the limits and squeezing every last tenth of a second out of a lap?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you prefer a more calculated approach focusing on hitting those consistent lap times?
So if I'm a driver who values smoothness and predictability,
Yeah.
maybe a car known for its stable handling is a better choice than an all-out speed demon.
There you go. You got it. And remember, one of the great things about the SLS is that it's all about modified street cars.
Yes.
You don't need a full-blown race car to be competitive.
That's what makes it so accessible.
Absolutely.
You can take the car you drive to work,
Yep.
make some modifications,
Exactly.
and go head-to-head with other passionate drivers.
That's the beauty of it.
We've dissected the 2024 season. We've explored the strategic implications of the Delta Cup, and now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty.
This is where the rubber meets the road, We're going to equip you with some actionable insights to help you navigate the SLS in 2025,
Oop.
whether you're a seasoned veteran or a rookie contender.
So let's unpack this. What are the specific choices drivers can make to maximize their chances of success in both the class rankings and the Delta Cup?
Well, it all starts with car selection.
Okay.
As we've seen, certain brands tend to dominate certain classes.
Right.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know?
It's not just about the badge on the hood. It's about the specific model, the modifications, and how it all comes together.
Think of it like assembling a puzzle.
Okay.
You have to find the right pieces that fit together perfectly to create a complete and competitive picture.
So what are some of those crucial pieces?
Well, first, consider the balance of power within your chosen class.
Okay.
Look at the cars that consistently perform well. What are their strengths and weaknesses? How do they match up against your driving style?
So if I'm a driver who likes to brake late and carry speed through corners, I might want a car with strong brakes and good downforce.
Exactly. And if you're more of a point-and-shoot driver who excels at putting down power early, you might prioritize a car with a strong engine and a responsive throttle.
Makes sense. It's about aligning your car's capabilities with your own strengths as a driver. Now let's talk about modifications. This is where you can really fine-tune your car's performance to suit both the class rankings and the Delta Cup.
That's right. For the class ranking, it's all about maximizing performance within the rules. You want to squeeze every ounce of speed and grip out of your car without pushing it into a higher class.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
Absolutely. You might focus on upgrades like lightweight wheels and tires, improved suspension components, and aerodynamic enhancements, all aimed at shaving off those precious lap times.
But what about the Delta Cup? Do those same modifications help with consistency?
That's where things get really interesting.
How so?
Well, some performance modifications can actually make it harder to drive consistently.
Really?
Yeah, imagine a car with a ton of horsepower but a very narrow power band. It might be incredibly fast,
Right.
but it could also be very difficult to control, especially when you're trying to hit those consistent lap times.
So for the Delta Cup, you might prioritize modifications that improve predictability and driver feedback.
You got it. Think about things like a well-tuned suspension, consistent brake performance, and a predictable throttle response. These will make it easier to hit those consistent lap times, even when you're pushing close to the limit.
So it's not just about going fast, it's about going fast consistently.
And that brings us to the most important modification of all the driver.
The human element.
No amount of horsepower or fancy suspension tuning can compensate for a lack of skill and consistency behind the wheel.
So how can drivers improve their own performance to excel in both the class rankings and the Delta Cup?
First, focus on developing a smooth and consistent driving style.
Okay.
This means being precise with your inputs, braking, steering throttle, and avoiding any sudden or jerky movements.
It's like a dance. Everything has to flow together seamlessly.
Exactly. Smoothness is key for both speed and consistency. It allows you to carry more momentum through corners and maintain a predictable rhythm on the track.
So it's not about being aggressive, it's about being controlled.
Precisely. And remember, consistency comes from practice. The more time you spend behind the wheel, the better you'll understand your car and the more consistent your lap times will become.
So get out there and drive. Practice makes perfect, or at least more consistent.
And don't be afraid to seek out coaching or instruction. A good coach can help you identify areas for improvement and provide tailored feedback to help you refine your driving technique.
It's like having a personal trainer for the track.
Exactly. They can help you unlock your full potential as a driver and push you to achieve new levels of consistency and speed.
So to recap, success in the SLS is a multifaceted challenge.
Yeah.
It requires a well-chosen and well-prepared car, a smooth and consistent driving style, and dedication to continuous improvement.
And with the introduction of the Delta Cup, that emphasis on consistency has become even more pronounced. It's no longer enough to just be fast. You have to be consistently fast.
And that's what makes the SLS so exciting. It's a true test of driver skill and strategy, where the smallest details can make all the difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Embrace the challenge, seek out knowledge and guidance, and never stop pushing yourself to improve. Because in the world of the Super Lap series, the pursuit of consistency is the key to unlocking true performance.
That's it for our Super Lag series deep dive. We've just scratched the surface of this amazing series. If you want to learn more, head over to the FARA website for the full rulebook results and to get registered for the 2025 season. Good luck on the track.